Hi guys, this video is on finding the area of composite shapes. Now this builds on our understanding of finding areas of triangles, rectangles, squares and parallelograms. They're all really important in this. Now before we begin, we're going to come up with a word here. So in primary school, you might have had a classroom that had both year 5s and 6 students in it, or perhaps year 3 and 4s, or 1 and 2s, but you had 2 year levels in the one classroom. I don't know if you know what this is called, and if you do, that's really fantastic, but we call this composite classes. So we call this a composite class. So if we look at composite shapes, well, what are composite shapes? Well, composite shapes are shapes that are made up of 2 or more shapes. So here's an example. We have 2 shapes here, a rectangle and a triangle. Now at the moment these are just 2 regular polygons. Now, if we combine these shapes, we end up with a composite shape because it's made up of the 2 shapes here. So where are like the areas of this shape? How do we solve this problem if we were given this? So to solve these, you want to break the shapes up into the different polygons, so the different regular shapes. So in this one here, we're going to put a little imaginary line here. And if we look now, we've got a triangle and a rectangle. If we go over here, we're going to and we're going to call this A1 for our area number 1. And area number 2. So when we're doing our working out, we show the working out for area 1 in one section and the working out for area 2, and then we combine them. Over here, we have another composite shape, and if we split that, we end up with 2 mini rectangles here and 1 large rectangle. Now we're going to call this area 1, this area 2, and this area 3. Now, in a minute, we're going to do these examples. We'll do this one in just a second and this one a little bit later, but with actual measurements, and we're going to learn how to solve the problem. So here's an example. So here we have our composite shape. And the first thing I'm going to do again is just draw that line and write our A1 and A2. Now, if we look at A1, and pretend that this little bit at the bottom is not here, we don't have a measurement for here or a measurement right here. Now this one is easy to find because it's the same length here. So we can say that this one is 6 centimeters. But this one over here, if we look at this length here, this whole side is 14 centimeters. But we don't want the whole side. We only want part of it. We only want up to here. Now if we look over here, this is 8 centimeters, which means this little section here is 8 centimeters as well. So that means whatever is left to make up 14 is this little area here. So that becomes 6 centimeters because 14 take away 8 leaves us 6 centimeters. So we go area 1 equals base times height divided by 2 because we know that that's our formula to find the area of a triangle. So our area is 6 times 6 divided by 2. So we get 36 divided by 2, which gives us 18 centimeters squared. Area 2, being just a rectangle, we go length times width. Now don't get confused here. Our length is not 14, because remember that's the whole length. Our length for the rectangle is only 8. So we go 6 times 8, so length and width, and 6 times 8 gives us 48. Now we're not finished yet because we need to work out the total area. So the total area equals A1 plus A2. Now A1 was 18 and A2 was 48, so we add them together and we get 66. Now, don't forget that that's centimeters squared because we're talking about area. Let's do another one here. So here we're going to look at essentially two rectangles if we were to split this off. So we have our area 1 and our area 2. Now, we need to work out, oops, sorry, I've jumped ahead. We need to work out this length here because we need to know here. Now again, this whole length along this side is 14 kilometers, but that's including this bit which is 6 kilometers, so we can't include that when we're trying to find this length in the rectangle. So what we do is we go 14 take away 6, so 14 being the whole length, take away the little bit that we already know to give us 8 kilometers here. So area 1, so to find the area of area 1, we go length times width. So the length here and the width here are 6 and 7, so we go 6 times 7, which gives us 42 kilometers squared. Area 2 again is length times width. This time our length and our width are 8 and 12 kilometers. So we go 8 times 12, which gives us 96 kilometers squared. Now again, don't forget we have to add them together. So in this one we get 42 plus 96 gives us 138 kilometers squared. Don't forget those kilometers squared. Okay, our last shape, that shouldn't be there yet, but that's okay. So again, we'll split it into 3 regular polygons here with our A1, A2 and A3. Now there's a couple of lengths missing here. You'll see that there's no length here and no length here, but as these are the same lengths, we know that A1 and A2 are going to be exactly the same. The other lengths missing are the shorter length here. Now we know that we've got 2 meters for this little section, but we need to know the rest, and we also need to know what this big long length is as well. So the first one we do is 8 because we've got 8 for the total. Take away 2, which is just the side of this small rectangle here, which gives us 6 meters. And over the other side we have 4 plus 5 plus 4. Now where did I get that from? Okay, if we look over here, we've got 4 plus 5 plus another 4 because the little line represents that these are the same, and so that gives us 13 kilometers. Now A1, length times width, so 2 times 4 because we've got our 2 and our 4, which gives us 8 meters squared. Now remember, A1 and A2 here are exactly the same, so we're essentially doing the same thing again. Length times width, which is 2 times 4, which gives us 8 meters squared. Now, area 3. So length times width. Now our length here is 13 and our width is 6. Remember, it's not 8 because 8 is the entire length, and if we were to do that, we'd actually be including this empty spot here, which we don't want. So we only want 6. So 13 times 6 is 78 meters squared. Now don't forget, you're not finished here. You need to add them all together to get your total area. So the total area is 8 plus 8 plus 78, which gives us a total area of 94 meters squared. So our final answer is the 94 meters squared. A1, A2 and A3 are all the working out to get to that answer. Now don't forget, you always show working out. Thanks guys.